Okay, so sorry, we're gonna go over the homework, and the way you're going to check is to make sure that your drawings were correct. So everybody look at moon number, we're on the front, so not the back, but the front. Moon number 1 should have been a waxing quarter, so half and half with the light on the left. Did you draw that one correct? Yeah. Thanks. Then we should be moving on to a waning gibbous. This is mostly light, so all light here with only a little dark, the light's on the left. And then a full moon. Then a waxing gibbous, which is mostly all light with the light on the right. Then a waxing quarter, which is half and half with the light on the right. Check to make sure your drawings are correct. Then a waxing crescent, that's just a little smiley face open. A new moon, and then a waning crescent. I want to ask you guys, how'd you do? Good. Which ones did you mess up? None. Which one did you mess up? Was it the gibbous or the crescents? You didn't mess any of those ones up? Yeah. What were you messing up then? Was it the crescents and the gibbous?
Quarter from the first one, and I was
because I
like,
yeah, sorry if I said that wrong. That one's a waning quarter. Okay, good. All right, now this one, I switched up where the sun was coming from. I messed with the numbers. So what you should have known, or what you should realize, is that they didn't go in the right order. They actually went in reverse order, the way they normally happen. But what I want to point out is you guys just need to be able to pick what's at each spot, not necessarily what goes in order. So we start this time with the waxing quarter. So this is with the light on the right. Then we keep the light on the right and move to a waxing crescent into a new moon. Now we're switching light on the left, waning crescent, waning quarter, waning gibbous, full moon, waxing gibbous. Got them all right? How'd you do, those of you guys that did them? So you got to be able to draw them and label them. Now with the multiple choice and the short answer ones, there were a few that I didn't teach you. So let's start with what we know, and then I'm going to explain the ones that we didn't go over. So this first one, so this is an example of how they're going to ask you moon phase questions. So never will you have to do what I had to do here and do all of them all at once. But they might ask a question just like this one that says, okay, here's the moon. What phase is it in? And what does it look like? This was an easy one, but again, to do it the way I would have gone through is to put it so that the moon lines up with you and the earth so you can look straight at it. If you were right here and you looked up, you'd see and you cover up the back half, you'd see the entire lit up side, which is a full moon, which is answer A. What we have not done is question 2. Question 2 talks about, well, how long does it take? Says the diagram below shows positions of the moon in its orbit and phases of the moon as viewed from New York State. Approximately how many days does it occur between the new moon's first quarter, between the moon's first quarter phase and the moon's last quarter phase? And to do this, it's asking how long. So to do this, you better know how long it takes to go around the moon. So we're going to start here. Here's the Earth. Here's the moon going around the Earth. And my question is, how long does it take for the moon to go all the way around the Earth? Wait, actually, what's that called? The moon going around the Earth.
Revolution.
So that's something you need to be able to spit out right away. When the moon goes around the Earth, that's called the moon revolving around the Earth. You need to know that vocab word. You cannot interchange them.
Revolution and revolving the same thing.
Revolution and revolving are the same thing, yeah. Just different tenses, I guess.
Yep.
or I'm not just sure the English, the grammar words for it. What's different is rotating. Remember, rotating is spinning on its axis. So for the moon to go around the earth, Kelvin, how many days did you say it takes? It actually doesn't take 20. You got the right number for a different question. Guys, everybody grab your reference table. Open it up to page 15.
It's like 27.
It does. It to go all the way around is the question I'm asking. You've got the right answer, Calvin, but it's just hang on one second. Page 15 of your reference table has data about the moon. Hang on, let everybody.
Look at the answers, Joe.
Hang on. No, we're not looking at the answers. We're looking at a reference table. Stop.
Sorry.
So my question, guys, how long does it take the moon to revolve around the earth? 27.3. If you haven't found that yet, it's at the bottom of page 15 of your reference table. Earth's moon, period of revolution, 27.3. So it takes 27.3 days for the moon to go around the earth. So that looks like if we were this full moon, it looks like how long it takes to go from one full moon to one full moon. But I'll tell you, let you in on a secret. It takes a little bit longer than 27.3 days to go from one full moon to one full moon. And that's what Kelvin was talking about. Kelvin, how long does it take to go from one full moon to one full moon? 29.5 days. Guys, why does it take a little bit longer to go from one full moon to the next full moon? If you look in this position right here, this would be a full moon. If you were standing on Earth looking at the moon, the whole lit up side, so the side that this would technically be an eclipse, but that's besides the point. This would be a full moon. And I just said it takes 27.3 days for the moon to make that full circle. So why does it take a little bit longer to go?
Because the earth rotates.
That's not because the earth rotates. Because the earth revolves. Got to get these words correct. Get off the phone, pay attention. So here's what I'm saying. If we want to be lined up in that full moon position, what has the earth done while that moon made that trip around the earth?
Revolve.
It has revolved. In other words, it's taken a giant step forward. So I think I'm breaking it. Anyway, sorry, I think I broke it a little bit, but to make that, when it makes that circle, where's the earth gone? Well, the earth's taken a big step forward too. So instead of just taking 27 days, I do better with myself here. Let's say this is the earth. Where's the earth? I'm the moon. To get back to this full moon position, takes 27.3 days to do that. But what did the earth do in the meantime?
Revolve.
It's taken a big step forward now. So for me to get here, it takes a couple more days. So it takes 29.5 days to make one full cycle of the moons. A little short of a month. Is that what the question asked though? Take a look at this question. Approximately how many days occur between the moon's first quarter and its last quarter, which are here? How long will that take? Why 15 and not 29.5? Because it's only half of the cycle. Oh, I just circled the wrong one. Half. How about this next one? Which phase of the moon is that? Again, I have to go through the whole process, put that moon on the top, cover up the back half of the moon, ask myself, mostly light, mostly dark, half and half. Hang on, it's not. Will you answer the question I'm asking? And let everybody else think. Guys, is it mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half?
Mostly dark.
How about the rest of you? No. Is it mostly light, mostly dark, more than the two people in the room? Thank you. It's mostly dark. What kind of moon is mostly dark? How about the rest of you? What kind of moon is mostly dark? Crescent. Now the rest of you, is this a waxing or a waning crescent? Why? The light is on the left side. So which one of these is a waning crescent or waning? Yeah, waning crescent. A. We want the waning crescent. Little bit, mostly dark with the light on the left. Oh, this is another one we haven't done yet. The same side of the moon always faces the earth because this is something that Guy wanted to talk about last week. Can you guys see this X that I have on my moon?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the only red blob on this moon. So I'm gonna line it up after I moved it. Watch when the moon goes around the earth. Where's that X always facing? Everybody see that X is always facing the earth? It doesn't matter where the moon is on its trip around the earth, that X always faces the earth. So does the moon rotate? What does the word rotate mean?
Spin on its axis.
Okay, so rotate means to spin. By the way, what's the word for going around?
Revolution.
So you guys need to know the difference for those. You still have page 15 out, right?
Yeah.
So was that Jake who said, so the moon doesn't revolve? Take a look, does the
No,
moon,
rotate.
oh, yes, you're right. He says the moon doesn't rotate. Take a look at your reference table. Does the moon rotate? It does. How long does it take for the moon to rotate?
27.3 days.
27.3 days. I thought that number sounds familiar. Notice, so for those of you who couldn't find it, Earth's moon, period of revolution, period of rotation. What do you see between the two of them?
It's the same.
It's the same. So because it's the same, it appears that the moon doesn't rotate. But let's see. Here's how you check to see if the moon does rotate. So let's look at that same X. In terms of the room, where is that X pointing right now? Towards what wall? Okay, it's pointing to the hallway walls. Now the moon's going to move a little bit. It's going to revolve. Now where's the X pointing? By the way, it's right here.
Back wall.
The front wall. Depends on your. Now where's the moon pointing? The X pointing.
Window wall.
Window wall.
Back wall.
Back wall. Hallway wall. Did the moon spin?
Yes.
So let me spin. What wall am I facing right now?
Back. Hallway. Front. Window.
Did I spin?
Yeah. I suppose.
I did spin. So technically, didn't the moon spin?
Yeah.
It did. The thing with the moon spinning is it only spun one time while it revolved. And here's my handy dandy garbage can again. So now I'm going to do that spinning where I face the windows, the front, hallway, back. Did my body spin?
Yeah.
Only one time in the whole time it took for the moon to go around the earth. So the moon and the moon rotates and revolves at the exact same speed, which is why we always see the same side of the moon.
So we never see the other side.
We on Earth can never see the other side of the moon.
Except for the aliens are.
Right. That's where you could say, well, that's where the aliens are because we can't see them, but no, that's not. But we only see the same set of craters. So every picture you see of the moon from Earth will always have like 3-ish craters right there in view for you. So it's a little weird, but they rotate and revolve at the same speed. So that is the answer to this one. The same side of the moon always faces Earth because the moon's period is the same. Which one is that? Once as it completes one revolution. That's answer C. Why can we see the cycle of moon phases from Earth? Because right, Revolves. Now, oh, I wonder if they had put rotates there in A, if you would have gotten that one right. Here's what we just did. So if you had gotten number 6 wrong, actually, I think I told you to Google it, didn't I? When you Googled, how long does it take to complete? And this does say approximately 1 cycle of phases. 1 month, just short of a month. Which sequence of moon phases could be observed from Earth during a 2-week period? It's important to know that 2-week period. What's important to know about the 2 weeks? Okay, it's 14 days, which in terms of the moon, why is 14 days important?
Because that's about.
Half a moon cycle. Thank you. It's about half a moon cycle. So we don't go from full moon to full moon. What would we go from? Half a cycle isn't to a quarter. Half is from full to a new moon. It's only half a trip around. Or in this case, well, okay, so let's start here. Could we go from a full moon? What is this moon, by the way? Okay, it's a quarter. Is this a waxing or a waning quarter? Waning, because the light's on the left. So could we go from a new moon to a waning quarter to a full moon to a waning quarter to a new moon over to a waxing quarter in 2 weeks? No, we wouldn't go that far. So first of all, it's not in order. Doesn't go, actually it is in order, but that's too far. We would only go from full to new. Could we go from a new to a waning crescent to a waxing quarter to a waxing crescent? No, they're out of order. In 2 weeks, could we go from a full moon to a quarter, a waning quarter to a waning crescent to a new moon? Yes, it goes from very bright to getting duller all the way to dark. How many days does it take for the moon to complete 1 cycle of phases as viewed from Earth? 29.5. I think you'd be okay with 30. What you would not be okay with is 27.3. That's just a period of revolution. Oh, flashback to probably the 2nd week of school. Why are the phases of the moon considered cyclic? Before you answer this, what the heck does the word cyclic mean? Goes in a cycle. Do the phases of the moon go in a cycle? Yeah, they do. They go from new to crescent to quarter to gibbous to full to gibbous to quarter to crescent and back again. So I wrote they happen in a cycle. They're predictable. And the last 2 here, we got a calendar that shows the month of July in a recent year. Dates of the major moon phases as seen on New York State are shown. So they show us new moon happened on the 1st. They show us a 1st quarter. Now, have we called that a 1st quarter? We called that a what?
Or waxing.
Waxing quarter, but it's okay because they labeled it. So this is what most people would call it. They wouldn't call it a waxing quarter. They'd call it a 1st quarter. It is nice and labeled, so you don't have to guess. This they're telling you is a full moon, 3rd quarter, back to a new moon. So in this month of July, we're able to go from a new moon to a new moon in 1 calendar month. So they said this diagram represents the phase of the moon observed from New York State 1 night during the month of July. By the way, what phase of the moon is this? Everybody think for a second first, nobody answer. What phase of the moon is this? Tyler, do you know what phase of the moon that is? Let's start, Tyler. Is it a waxing or waning? Waning. Waning gibbous. Probably one of the 2 most hard ones to decide because we always forget the word gibbous. So this is a waning gibbous. Again, what does the word waning tell us about the moon?
It's light on the left.
Okay, waning means light on the left, but what does the actual word waning mean?
Decrease.
Okay, so right now is your attention waning?
Yeah.
Yeah, your attention span right now is going down, you guys are losing interest. That's the same with the moon. When it's a waning moon, it means it's decreasing, it's getting smaller. So when would this have happened right after? No, let everybody think. Guys, if this means the moon is getting smaller, decreasing, just like your attention is decreasing, what happened right before this moon? What phase came just a couple days before this? Do you have an idea? No, you're going the wrong way. Because remember, waning means getting smaller. Got an idea, Carlos? It is going to be a full moon happened right before this. Because if you have a full moon, it's as bright as it can be, right? This is only a little bit duller than a full moon. So what happened a few days before this would have been a full moon. Full moon. Waning gibbous would have been any of the days following a full moon. So which one of these fits in that week following? That would be July 19th. And finally, yes, your grandpa's birthday. Which date on the calendar will the next first quarter moon occur? First quarter. They want to know when the next one will be. You could do this a couple of different ways. Who thinks they confidently answered this one?
Not me, I guess.
You guessed. How about everybody give it a shot right now? I want to see if you can figure it out. We're doing number 11. What question are you going to ask?
When there's a new moon, does the light start coming from the right?
You tell me. So Jake asked a good question.
You stress me out. I'm so lost.
No, stop. We have a new moon. We have a new moon, which is all dark. And Jake's question is, when it starts getting light, does the light come from the left or the right? So really what you're asking, is it a waxing or a waning right after a new moon? And I've gone through this. So guys, why would it be a waxing right after a new moon? Because it's getting bigger. So it's as dark can be. Just like when you wax a car, you're waxing it to make it shiny. So when you're waxing the moon, that's when it starts getting shiny. So the next moon after the full moon, after the new moon, will be a little bit brighter, followed by half and half, followed by almost a full moon. So these are the waxing phases. They're getting brighter, more and more and more shininess. Just like the more you wax a car, the shinier it gets. So knowing that, so who thinks they confidently answered when the next first quarter moon will be? Still nobody?
I know.
You think you got it, Carlos? Which answer? It is C. Do you want to, can you explain how you knew that? Or did you just guess?
Just guess. It was an educated guess, but I can't explain.
Okay. Does anybody, so a couple of you said you got it right.
July 30th is a new moon.
Okay, so July 30th is a new moon.
And it's gonna get brighter.
It's gonna get brighter.
So by August 6th, it'll be a quarter moon.
So but how come not August 10th? That's pretty close.
Because that comes.
Let's try another way. You got a way to explain it? Okay, what did you try?
You count the different days between the 1st and 8th of July, and then you can do it from the 30th to August.
That is absolutely one day. or one way. Sorry, not one day, one way. Here was the last new moon. So Renee said to go from the new moon to the first quarter took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So what's 7 days after the 30th? That would be August 6th. That's one way of doing it. I honestly didn't even think of that way, but that's a good way. Anybody think of another way? Hey, Kelvin, how long does it take to go from one first quarter to the next first quarter? No, from first quarter to first quarter, from the same one to the next time it shows up. 29.5 days. So, no, that's to go from the first to the third quarter. To go in a full cycle, to go from this first quarter to when it happens again, takes 29.5 days. So what's 29 days? By the way, 29 days is just short of a month, right? So what's a month from July 8th? August 8th. And we just want just short of August 8th because it takes a little bit less than a month. August 6th, that's one way of doing it. Or you legit could have counted 28 days. And if you counted 28 days, that would put you 7 days or 6 days, oh my gosh, 5 days after the 31st. Because here's 7, 14, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 and a half would have put you right here, which is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Multiple different ways of getting the same answer. Moral of the story, takes 29 and a half days to go from a full cycle. All right. What I realized is we did not take the notes of all the stuff we just talked about on page 21. So let's, oh, you know what? We'll do that first. Guys, we've never mentioned this word before, a satellite. You guys have heard of a satellite before, right?
They float in space.
They float in space. Do they just randomly float in space? We're on page 20, by the way. A satellite is an object in space that revolves around another object as the result of gravity. So I believe, Jake, you were referring to those man-made satellites, right? Like a satellite that we put up to use for TV or radio. Not all satellites are man-made though. So a satellite, very top of page 20. A satellite is any object in space that revolves around another as a result of gravity. So technically the Earth is a satellite of, because the Earth, what does the Earth do? Revolves around the sun. What's the moon a satellite of? And guys, remember that because the Earth's orbit is an ellipse, the distance between the sun and the Earth changes. And then we already know bullets 1 and 2 for phases of the moon there. Actually, looks like I didn't even make a slide for them. So we'll do it this way. So the apparent shape of the moon depends on the changing positions of what, and what. So why do we see different phases of the moon?
Revolution,
Yep, revolution of, so the changing positions of the
Earth, Moon, and Sun.
moon and sun. How long does it take the moon to revolve around Earth?
27.3 days.
This is straight off the reference table, 27.3.
Yeah.
But what, here's what I wanted that but to be. But, so right there from where it says but it takes, hang on, but it takes, so just the underline part, it takes 29.5 days. And this goes for any phase of the moon. So it takes one full month to go from a waxing crescent to the next waxing crescent, or takes 29.5 days to go from one waxing quarter to the next waxing quarter. It takes 29.5 days. So going over that homework took much longer than I expected. We have a couple minutes to talk about what happened last night. I meant to tell you guys that last night was what was called a lunar eclipse, and I hope a few of you caught this. Good. I meant to tell you on Friday, but you guys guilt tripped me into taking you outside, and I completely lost track of what I really wanted to talk about. And so I wanted to talk about the lunar eclipse that happened last night. I do have a time-lapse video that I found online. So this is what you could have saw, and it was a gorgeous night for seeing it.
All that brown hair response.
So we'll go into what an eclipse is tomorrow. So this was the blood moon. The moon was in a partial shadow to start with, and then it started to get covered up by the full shadow. You'll be able to see. There we go. We'll be able to see it changing shapes there. And it really looked like that last night, where it basically went through all the phases right there in that.
It took a while.
Yeah, it started at like 9:30 and it ended sometime after midnight.
Yeah, I started watching like at 10:30 with the
I'm really sorry, I forgot to
I
tell
was
you.
outside at the time.
You were?
No.
Oh, no, most people would.
I went out purposely to watch. Yeah, I did.
Yep, I actually went out to look right when I took the dogs out, but there were trees in the way.